Hello, everybody. Welcome to week one of digital storytelling. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the Noongar people of the Whadjuk Nation, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and future. Okay, so digital storytelling. So here we can see on the rock, many thousands of years ago, the First Nations people, the Aboriginal people, they painted this image of the Wandjani. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this is another example of some very old storytelling from First Nations people on the rock. And here we can see that hands have been used, a boomerang, and even emu's feet. We can see on the left-hand side, there are some emu's feet. So we can see that storytelling, it is a very, very old tradition since the beginning of mankind. And the First Nations people have left behind many examples that are thousands of years old, and they tell stories of times long ago. So the First Nations people, the Indigenous Australians, or the Aboriginal people, they have a rich storytelling culture. Theirs was a non-written culture. And so their stories were passed down orally via art, as we can see through those rock paintings, and also through music and dance. So let's start with the boring stuff first of all. So the assessments, boring but very important. For this course, attendance is important. So it's important that you come to class every week to get 25% of the mark, and also to participate in the activities and the conversations that we have. The next assessment is every week we will have a different focus, and you will have to complete different activities for each week. So those need to be submitted by Tuesday in the evening before the next class that we have on Wednesday. So each week we have a focus. This week we're focusing on hand coloring of images, of black and white images. So please have a look on LMS, and you can find information about all of these activities that you need to complete. And you can also upload these activities to LMS. Please don't send them to my email. Make sure you upload them to LMS before the due date of the next class each week. And finally, the big presentation here is 50%, and this is your complete digital visual diary or journal. So it's a minimum of 25 pages to submit as a PDF. It can be a combination of images and text, photographs, drawings. You can also add collage and some interesting things that you find. So you can use some of the material from the weekly activities, but it's also very important to rework these, improve them, and to add some new material. So it's not just the same material from the weekly activities, but it should be a complete visual diary or journal, and it should show your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, It should tell your stories of your time in Perth. And it also should include an artist statement of 200 to 400 words. And this will be helpful for when you're presenting your visual journal, your visual diary in the final week of class. Maybe you just need to say a little bit about your work because, of course, your photos, your artwork, your poetry, these things are very important. So if you have any questions about that, please ask me, because I don't want you to feel confused. So you can send me an email. And if the translation is a bit of an issue, then can also talk to Diane, and we can find a solution to whatever you're confused with. So here is my email. You can contact me here, and here's my number. I give you this number because when we go on some field excursions, if you have any trouble or if you happen to get lost, we don't want that to happen, but you can easily contact me. I'm sure you can also contact other people in the group, so everyone can be safe. Okay, so the venues and the weekly excursions for week 1, we are in the tutorial room today. And for week 2, we'll be visiting the Kwinana Wildflower Reserve. It's a fantastic place and very easy to get to. All you need to do is just jump on the train at Murdoch and then go south a few stops and get off at Kwinana train station, and then walk upstairs, and I will be there waiting at the start of your class. And then we can walk across to the Wildflower Reserve, take some photos and do some activities. So that's for next week. Week 3, we're going to be back in the tutorial room to participate in some on-campus activities, some fun activities. Week 4, we're looking at going to Kings Park. Week 5, Fremantle Roundhouse, Bathers Beach, and also the Esplanade Park. And week 6, you'll be back on campus doing your presentations again. This course is a new course, so we're still refining things. But at this point, this is our plan. But we'll keep you updated if things change a little. So make sure you're checking on LMS each week. Check the unit outline also. That has all of the information. You can download that as a PDF. And also check in with friends and Diane and myself. Okay, so you don't need to be afraid or shy in this unit. Please feel free to ask questions because you are welcome. Yes, that's right, everybody. You are welcome to Digital Storytelling. We're very happy to have you. So first of all, I'd like to say, g'day, mate. I'm sure you're familiar with this. And we have been saying this for a long time in Australia to say hello. So you can just say g'day, or you can say g'day, mate. This is the way that we like to say hello. So yeah, please practice this one with me and your classmates. Okay, so let's do it. Digital storytelling. Here's a little bit of collage with Justin Bieber. We'll be doing this in the 3rd week for some fun. So what's your story? For me, I left Perth at the age of, I think it was 24 years of age, the year 2000. And I went on a big adventure. I went to Thailand first, and I taught there for 13 years in the university. It was a great time, and I traveled to lots of different countries and had a really fun time practicing my art and taking photos in different countries, and also teaching English as a second language. And in the year 2001, I took a trip to Japan. Here's some of my photos from Japan. I just put this together because I wanted to give you some ideas of what a photo journal might look like, a visual journal, a visual diary, and how you might combine your thoughts, your feelings. So here's a little bit of writing, an example of something that you could do for each week's activity. And here are some photos. When I studied photography, I studied about black and white in dark rooms, using film, all the old cameras. So I'm happy I had that experience, but I'm also very happy that now we have digital photography. It makes things so much easier. But all of these photos were shot on film. So yeah, I went to Osaka, Kyoto, and finally Tokyo. And this is in a swimming pool in Tokyo. Here's me riding around in Kyoto in a taxi. You can see my camera there taking a photo. Just a combination here of presenting the photos in a different way so it engages the viewer. Here we have a combination of text and an image. This is from when I went to Tokyo Zoo. Felt sorry for this poor guy. So you can see the word help there, just to give you my idea, my thoughts about that at the time. So Mr. June here on the left, he was a wonderful guy who we stayed with in Osaka, and he took us to lots of cool places. Was a very lovely guy. This is my friend Mark, and Mark, he was about 21 or 20, yeah, maybe 21 at the time. I was 20, no, he was 22, I was 25. I think you can read the word lucky there in Japanese on his t-shirt. And yeah, we had a really fun time hanging out with June and some people in Tokyo, and went to a lot of cool places. This one is a temple in Kyoto. And here's me in Tokyo riding the subway, just having a bit of a laugh, very crowded. And this is the street with all the fashion and the teenagers in Tokyo that I went to. I love this place. We don't have anything like that in Perth, so it was really, really cool. And here's some images in Tokyo, adding a bit of color just to make it a bit engaging. And this is Tokyo, from Tokyo Tower. You can see I've combined a few things there. Maybe you want to do something similar for your final assessment, the visual journal. You can see here, this is a poem on the right-hand side. And this is just some of my thoughts and feelings about some experiences I had in Tokyo. So feel very free to write words to tell your story. Here's some images that I made into black and white. And today you will also be looking at black and white images and how to add some color to make them engaging or artistic, or create a different feeling or a different style. Here's another combination of text and images. You see, you don't need to always present it in the normal way. You can move words around, make them dance. That way, the person, when they read them, it's a bit different, and it can be more engaging visually also. And I'm also a big fan of the kaiju, the Japanese monsters. This was just at a restaurant, on top of the restaurant. Okay, so that's just a little example of one of my trips that I put together in an artistic style, like a journal style, I guess. Maybe you can do something a little bit similar for your final assessment, but obviously you would need to do more than that. That's just a small example. That was all very easy to do. Didn't need to use special programs, really. Just used PowerPoint. You can easily print out images, change them to black and white also. We'll look at how to do that at the end of this, but not too difficult. Rightio. So what are some things you like? You might want to also include this kind of information in your visual journal. For me, one of my favorite films is A Clockwork Orange. It was also a book. One of my favorite directors is David Lynch, American director, very surreal, very different style from normal Hollywood formats. And he has this wonderful quote, "Keep your eye on the donut, not the hole." So what does this mean? Keep your eye on the donut, not the hole. Keep your eye on the donut. So I think maybe this is like the idea that it's important to look at the big picture and not to become drawn in too much by the small details. I'm not exactly sure if that's what he's talking about, but I think for photography, you really need to be looking at big pictures and also small pictures. The little details are sometimes very, very interesting to focus upon. But I guess the difference is becoming obsessed by something and becoming a bit crazy is not a healthy thing. David Lynch's first film was Eraserhead. Took him 5 years to make. He was a student at the time, a film student. If you get a chance, have a look at Eraserhead. For me, I am a big fan of Japanese movies. I love Kurosawa. And this one here is a movie called Dreams. It's got all kinds of little short stories. It's a wonderful film, Dreams. Paprika is another one I like. If you haven't seen this, check it out. It's all about how dreams and reality can become very confusing. Christopher Nolan also was influenced by this film with his film Inception. So check out Paprika. But I think my all-time favorite Japanese film is Woman in the Dunes. Oh my God, this is such a fantastic film. I saw this when I was a teenager, late at night. And it's a story about a high school teacher who goes to a town on the coast. He wants to become famous for taking a photo of an insect that nobody has photographed before. He falls asleep in the sand dunes, and when he wakes up, he's missed the last bus back to Tokyo. So one of the villagers says, "Oh, don't worry, you can stay in the village tonight and get the bus back tomorrow." So he says, "Okay, that's wonderful. I like to learn about new cultures and local cultures." So he says, "Great." So the villager says, "Okay, you need to go down this ladder, climb down this ladder into this hole, and you can stay down in the house there with the lady who lives down there." So he says, "Okay," and he climbs down the ladder and gets to the bottom. The woman in the house there, she's very nice, quite beautiful and friendly. She makes him a meal. He goes to sleep, gets up the next morning, goes to where the ladder is, and the ladder is gone. And then he is caught at the bottom of the hole, and the villagers make him dig the sand out every day, and he can't get out of the hole. It's a very, very fantastic film. So if you get a chance, have a look at Woman of the Dunes. Okay, so journal time. What makes a good journal? Pew, pew, pew. All right, so what is it? What makes a good digital visual journal? Let's just have a look at some examples of art journals. If you want to do something like this, that's okay. Just that you would need to scan it and to submit it as a PDF. You can see these books are physical books, but we want your journal to be a PDF. So you can do this, you would just need to scan it. Here's some examples. You can see there's a couple of leaves in there. So a good digital visual journal, most importantly, I think it should be personal. It should give us a window into you as a unique person. So we're going to have a look at somebody who's done a lot of amazing photo journals. So who is Max Pam? Max Pam is a guy who was born in Melbourne, but he's lived in Perth for many, many years. I think he's about 73 now, but when he started as a young man, he was a surfer, and this is his wife here on the right. I think maybe they're in India. And Max, yes, this is one of his books called Super Tourist, and he most certainly was a super tourist. He traveled to so many countries, and he made some amazing visual journals. This one on the left here, I think that's somewhere in India, his wonderful self-portrait. Look at those glasses. Oh my goodness. Max, he started with his black and white images, and he learnt his craft in the dark room, and he had a lot of very engaging images, high visual impact, and as he continued with his artistic practice, his work it started to become more using lots of different styles and techniques. So autobiographies, what does this mean? This is one of his books, I believe. So the word autobiography is an account of a person's life. We can see here life story, diary, journal. So good word here is also fantasy. Please feel free when you're creating your journals that you include elements of fantasy. If you want to do cosplay, if you want to dress up, wear makeup, costumes, if you want to invent strange worlds, I really encourage you. Tell your story. What is important to you? What do you want to show the world? So think of your work as being autobiographical. It's telling your story. So looking at Max, you can see that he has taken somebody else's photo here, a postcard, and he's just written these details on the back, and then he's taken a photo of it. So it's interesting because it gives us a good understanding of where Max has been, and he's just kept it simple. Maybe you might choose to buy a postcard, write something on it, turn it over, take a photograph of it, include it in your digital visual diary. That's totally fine, and I think it's interesting too. So here we can see some wonderful portraits, hand-colored. We'll be looking a bit more at Max's hand-colored images, but you can see this terrific text. So for a lot of photography, maybe you just look at the image for a short time, but with Max's work, because of this text that is included, you start reading, and then you get other sides to the story. So maybe first you imagine something when you see this image, but then you get some more details or other details, or something maybe you didn't even consider or imagine through the story that Max includes with his writing. Also love this handwritten text. It's unique to Max. So please feel free to write on your images, or at the bottom or the top or the side. Just could be one word or a sentence, up to you, a poem. So Max's stories, his journals were very personal. You can see some of his family there. So it really is very personal. This wonderful combination of little small images and the space between them and text. It's like a doctor's writing. Some of it's hard to read, and you're looking at it and thinking, oh, I can't read that, but it makes you try, and through that you become engaged. So Max, you can see here, he's signing someone's book, and this kind of stuff, it is going to stand the test of time, I believe. It's going to be on someone's bookshelf after Max is gone, and maybe when that person dies, they'll pass it on to their children or their grandchildren. So the book and these personal details, the writing through the stories, all very important. You can see here it's just text in an interesting way too. So if you want to do some interesting text, I would love to see that in your journals. This is a very good use of, we can see some of it's typed, some of it's written. The images themselves are not really that interesting for me, but I feel that if I read those details, then I would get his story. So it's all very cool. Love this artistic use of the stamps here for the family portrait. Some more cool text in an interesting style, good color choice with this black and white image. Objects in hands. Max often takes photos of little objects in hands. This can be a very interesting thing to present an object in a hand. It can really make it a lot more personal when we see the hand, that it's of importance to somebody in the photo who we don't get to see. We only see their hand. That mysterious element is also engaging. So we can see this wonderful combination here and this artistic approach of the green and yellow boy with the handwritten text, the notebook with the photos. It makes you want to really dive in to see what is happening in Max's world. Here's his wife again on the left, and Max hanging with some folks. Not the most amazing photos, but this combination makes it interesting. The presentation. If you wish to do some paintings, I really encourage you to paint in this course, to submit that with your in your digital visual diary. Combining black and white images is also an interesting stylistic choice. And comedy through objects. So I think Max is maybe trying to suggest that this is a bomb on the left, that something is going to be blown up. It's probably just a hoax. This National Geographic magazine, I don't think it's a real one. It's just something that Max has put together. I think he loved National Geographic magazines, and maybe this was a big inspiration for him. So the things that inspire you, the things that are of interest to you. Also, you can see here we've got 3, 6, 9 little images, nicely put together, objects. So maybe some of these by themselves are not so interesting, but it's this combination which makes the eyes dance and engage, going from photo to photo, which proves to be interesting. Again, we see this strange combination here. Images that perhaps wouldn't be so powerful by themselves, but as a combination, you're in there, you're in Max's world. This trip to Yemen, with the image in the middle there, composition is super important in photography, in art, and Max is a master of his composition. Love these beautiful soft colors, the blues, the reds, something that he's got along the way in his travels. Got the paintbrush out, cut out some pictures from a magazine, some stamps, is it? All of these things, you get a sense of the place through these things that Max has included. You get a window into this alien world of Max's world, his travels. We've got an extended piece of writing there that we can see, and this man who's driving the bus, and we think, we want to know what's going on here. Where is this man off to? Maybe we can get some more information. So some of these links to videos that have been included, please have a look at those also to get more insights.
Hi, my name's...
Okay, so we have a list here of some things that it's worth considering what might be a good digital visual journal, something that is deeply personal. It's your fingerprint. It reveals a side of you or different sides of you. It doesn't have to be something that you want to, you know, it's something that is definitely very, it's you. What more can I say? However you wish to present yourself through your journal, that is what we are looking at. So visually engaging is very important. We can see with Max's images, they're very interesting. Combinations of text and images, and providing a window into the artist's world. So Max, we get a good sense of what Max is about. He's a traveler. He's somebody who likes to go on adventures, who likes to write stories. So some of those images, maybe they create a sense of heightened emotion. So you want to be selective about the images that you choose. And yes, that doesn't mean that your images, all of them have to be something that heightens a viewer's emotions. Some of them can be just like a bus ticket, or you can see on the side of this image here, we can see a rock. Maybe you found some rock and that is an important memory for you. So experiment. You can see Max is experimenting with different artistic mediums. You can also present your journal just mastering one particular style, if that's what you want to do. But most importantly, tell interesting stories within your journal. And often the best way to do that is to make it deeply personal. So here are some things you will need for digital storytelling. Some scissors. I will provide you with those. But maybe you want to buy a better pair because the ones I'm going to give to you are not very good quality. So you might want to get something better, or even a special sharp knife for cutting out images for activities such as collage. Color pencils. I'm going to give those to you today so you can hand color your black and white images for the first assessment, and you can also use them for other things within your final journal. Some glue, which I will also give to you. You will need this for your week 3 activity of collage. So please make sure you bring your scissors and your glue that I have given you today to week 3, because we will be cutting out images and we will be gluing them together on bits of paper to make an interesting collage. So Yeah, those are some things that you'll need. A notebook is also very good to write down your thoughts, your feelings as you're out in different places. When we go to the Kwinana Wildflower Reserve, maybe you want to write down some things about what you hear, what you see, how you feel, or maybe you're just telling some details of the events that happened in order. And when you have these kind of details, you can combine them in interesting ways with images later when you're creating artistic images. A scanner and printer is also needed. So if you go to the library, you can scan your collages, and you can also print out your images as black and whites, and you can hand color them. So you can just access the library for this. So here are some things that are not essential, but they might be of benefit for digital storytelling. So maybe some of you love painting, and maybe you want to paint your black and white image, or maybe you want to add a bit of color to your journal, or have a bit of a experiment. Old magazines, newspapers, advertising material. So if you come across some newspapers or advertising material or old magazines in op shops, these will be very handy for collage week 3. And also if you want to add certain things from these to your journal, and if you write or add some artwork, drawings, or some of your own images in combination, as you can see, Max has done this combination of different things, that can also be very engaging. Crayons are good. Maybe you'll get bored of your color pencils and you want to use some crayons. So you can find these sorts of things in Officeworks, or maybe in the Murdoch bookshop, or even at Woolworths. You don't need these things, but maybe you want to use these things for your own artistic experimentation. So here are some things that you will need to bring to digital storytelling excursions. So when we go out on our adventures, taking photos, a hat, super important, because in the summertime Perth is very dangerous. The sun can really hurt you. Just in half an hour, if you don't have a hat, you can get sick, you can get sunstroke. So please bring your hats. Don't forget them, along with your sunscreen. Very important. The sun can burn you, so please always put your sunscreen on when we're out different locations. And sunglasses can also be good to protect your eyes from the harsh sun. You absolutely must bring water. It can get quite hot sometimes, so make sure you have enough water. And food, if you want to bring food, you want to bring some snacks to make me fat, and we can share, or if you just want to keep them to yourself, that's okay. You're most welcome to bring food. Okay, so what about cameras? What cameras will you be using? The style of camera you choose is up to you. So if you want to use a Polaroid like the pink one on the left, or if you want to use one of these big boys in the middle, that's okay. They often give very good photos, but mobile phones are okay. you can still take good photos with those. And also, it's what you do with the photos. You know, this can often add an extra artistic element to it. And that's what we will definitely be studying in this course. So just some basics for photography. Some of these you probably already know. Of course, if you're using one of these, don't forget to take your lens cap off. My philosophy is take lots of photos. The more photos you take, the more chance you will have of taking a good one. Some people will say, oh, no, you should just only take a few and know what you're doing. I believe that experimentation is important. And with photography, sometimes you just get a smile or somebody just does something a little bit different with their eyes and you capture that. Of course, you need to be careful about not annoying somebody too much or breaking your back. But lots and lots of photos is often a good way. You don't need a camera with a big zoom lens. It's often something that people waste money on and don't really use and don't get great photos when they use a zoom, where if you just have just a standard lens, this is something that can be enough. But if you do have a big zoom and you feel like you're confident with using that for a particular style or a particular subject, that's okay, but you don't need one. Try shooting from different angles, get down on the ground, get on your knees, get dirty, look up, look down, look in all kinds of directions. This is important because otherwise all your photos will look the same. Try to avoid using too much flash. You lose details. Things can become very flat. So, of course, flash can be very useful sometimes. But I think if you can work without flash, if you have enough light and you have the right kind of light, this is better, in my opinion, than using flash. Try to engage with the person you are shooting. This means don't scare them, but sometimes you can make them laugh, and making them smile is very important to have a good connection with the person who you are shooting, and directing them, making them feel comfortable. This will be in your benefit and often result in better photos. Very, very, very important is framing and composition. If you can not have to crop later, if you can just frame everything nicely without having to crop, that's a good way. And of course, composition is just so important in art and photography. I hope this isn't making you too dizzy, but yes, don't shake. Try to hold your camera steady, unless, of course, you want some artistic effect where you want things to look a little bit blurred or shaky. The more still you hold your camera, the clearer the images are. So yeah, try not to be too shaky. Don't drink too much coffee when you're taking photos, because otherwise you might shake. Try and see what the camera might see. Often when there's a bright light, you get this horrible kind of shadow on one side of the face with shadows under noses, and yeah, it's not very appealing. So you need to think as a camera might, and the photos that you're taking, sometimes it's good to take a photo and check what you have just taken a photo of to see if it's looking okay. And if there is some kind of issue, then you can try and troubleshoot it. Reflectors can be a game changer. You can get nice even light across somebody's face or a subject. So we'll be learning how to use these. They're not too expensive, you know, and they're not too big when you fold them up, and they can be very useful if you're not working with studio lighting, and they're also useful in the studio. So they're a good investment. A good idea is to shoot in the early morning, and my favorite in the golden hour in the late afternoon. You get this beautiful soft light where the sun is setting, rather than the middle of the day where you get this bright full sun, often with the harsh shadows. So if possible, try to get out there and shoot, you know, maybe in an hour or so before the sun is setting. Can I take photos with my phone? Yes, of course you can. Just make sure your phone is a little bit better than these ones. But you can explore different apps, emojis, filters. I often like to play around with those little emojis to do funny, crazy things. I think these filters can get a little bit boring and stupid, but you know, now and then, just for something different in a visual journal, combination of images, why not? Anything is possible, and just try to be selective and creative, and most importantly, your journal should be engaging. So today's week 1 activity, we are looking at hand coloring of photos. Let me just have a drink of water. Excuse me. Okay, so there's a couple of videos, got some links there. Please have a look at those on LMS about hand coloring. Can give you some ideas about the history and some techniques. So absolutely wonderful photographer is Ruth Madison. Oh, I love her hand coloring. She is about 70 now. She began her photography in the 70s, and she's contributing a lot to the art world. And Ruth Madison, she explores themes that relate to relationships, family, community, and she provides windows into everyday rituals of ordinary Australian people at home or in their neighborhoods, in the suburbs. And she's described as a feminist photographer. And during the 1970s and the 1980s, she did a lot of terrific work. Let's have a look at some of Ruth's images. Okay, so storytelling, hand coloring and storytelling. I'd like to focus upon one of Ruth's series in particular. It is a series of photos that was her first solo exhibition called Holiday with Bob's Family. created in 1979. It showcased a series of hand-colored images, and the sequence is very important. The first photo until the last photo, they are all in a particular sequence, and that sequence is very important in terms of the story that is told. So in this first one, we can see all the presents are wrapped in front of the Christmas tree, and then we see, we later learn this is the mother, the grandmother of the family, and she is unwrapping a present here in her family room. So think about how these images come together to tell an overall story. In this case, it's about people enjoying Christmas together in 1979 at the family's home. So think about the order in which these images have been placed together to tell the story. We can see here we have the cooling fan that the father and the grandfather is unwrapping. And we can see the mum, grandmother, the Christmas sign here. This all helps to give us some insight into the story. We have a bit of mystery in this photo. We're not sure what is in this van from this particular time period of the 1970s. Very popular type of van that people used to sleep in. And then suddenly we get this detail of a present that she has found. Maybe somebody's hidden it as a surprise in the back of this van. Now we can see maybe a little bit close to halfway into this series, we see the presents have been unwrapped. The cake is coming out. Look at these shorts. This is something which is very unique to the 1970s fashion. Nobody wears these now, but those were very, very popular at the time. We can see the family here, and the men are not wearing shirts, and people are all wearing clothing that will make them feel cooler. So we learned that it's very hot. So Christmas time in Australia, it's usually very hot. So you can see the fan, the present that the grandfather got here in the background. This photo and the next photo are very, very important in terms of the storytelling in this series. Here you can see mum and dad, grandfather, grandmother, and the next photo we see is changed a little. Did you see what happened? Did you see what changed? What changed was the hand. She put her hand on his hand. And this is showing that she loves him. And love is a very strong theme. Closeness of the family at Christmas time. That is a very important theme that we see in these images. We can see people having a good time, having a joke in these little paper Christmas hats. Something that Australians like to do is wear those little paper hats to be the king, the queen, celebrating the wonderful occasions, just for some fun, you know. As soon as you put those hats on, you know that you're going to be having some fun. You become childlike again. We can see this guy here nobody's wearing shirts. Everybody's having a laugh at Christmas, having a meal together. We can see with this wonderful mustache, which was very popular in the 1970s. This watch, these details give us a good understanding of a time that has passed, and a family's activities on Christmas Day. They now move to the beach, I think, or a park to celebrate, something that we often do at Christmas because it's so hot. We like to get away from the house, especially in those times when they didn't have aircon. You can see they just had that little fan. So people would get out to get a bit of breeze, a bit of cool air at Christmas time. So people are often so hot, they would just relax, lie down on a picnic blanket. You can see these wonderful ladies being presented in a strong way, and they are looking straight at the camera, feeling very comfortable with the photographer, chilling out here. Love these colors here, beautiful colors of the blankets and the green trees with the brown trunk. Look at that wonderful 70s fashion. These wonderful 70s men. Love those orange shorts and the expression on this guy. Everyone's having a laugh. Everyone's relaxed, playing together. Granddad and the grandchildren. The family there, grandparents, grandchildren, children, their husbands, wives. And then the last photo, I'm not sure if you can read it. It says Margaret Daly died of cancer in July 79. So a very sad ending to this series of hand-colored photos by Ruth Madison. You wouldn't know from the photos that she was sick and that she died in the same year. So text can be very important in giving other information about photos and to assist with the storytelling. So please feel free to use text in your journals, and handwritten also adds that personal touch to it. So if we look at some of these questions here, maybe these can help you to focus upon some ideas regarding the storytelling. So what are some details within the images that help to give you a better understanding of the lives of the people in the photographs? So we can see that the men are not wearing shirts when they're sitting around eating a meal together. This gives us an indication that the weather is very hot and that people are just relaxed and comfortable with themselves and each other. Other details that give us a better understanding of the people's lives. We can see that everyone's happy together and having jokes, which indicates that they are a close family. And number two, what are some indications of the time period? So how have things changed? We talked about that mustache there and the lady's shorts from the 1970s. So these sorts of things give us an indication of the time period where that was the fashion in the 70s and late 70s. Today, mustaches are not so popular. Today, maybe people are a little bit more formal. Maybe they don't just hang out, everybody with their shirts off at Christmas. Maybe lunches, now we have our air conditioning. Maybe things are a little bit more formal. So how do the people within the series represent themselves as uniquely Australian? I think what we just talked about there with at Christmas time, it's often very hot, particularly here in Perth, that people might be inclined to wear less clothing. And particularly in that series, we see that people are not wearing their shirts. Also, those paper hats, maybe that's something that is unique to Australians. However, probably in other countries, people will wear paper hats to celebrate events like Christmas or maybe even a birthday. Once you put on that hat, you become someone who's having fun, you're childlike. So that's something that Australian people like to often do for a celebration. So yeah, get your paper hat and put it on and have fun. Okay, so Max Pam, we come back to him and comparing his hand-colored images with Ruth Madison's. So Max and Ruth, they were born around the same time. Max left Australia at the age of 20, and he began taking photos during his travels to many countries around the world. Whereas Ruth's photos are mostly of Australian people, it seems, just at home in the suburbs, and performing their daily rituals, some of which are very Australian. And Max, his personal photo journals and his techniques and his hand coloring, they're often very iconic and humorous. So let's have a look at some of Max's hand-colored images and think about how they're different to Ruth's. So in what ways do Ruth Madison's hand-colored photos differ from Max Pam's hand-colored photos? What are your ideas about that? I think they're both very personal. I think as I just mentioned there, Ruth is often focusing upon the Australian society in their homes, in their neighborhoods, involved in everyday things, which maybe some people would think they're a bit boring, but adding this color to them, it adds another dimension. It adds an artistic dimension and a reinterpretation of things, a different way of looking at things. Max's hand-colored photos, they're very eye-catching, and when you see them, they can create suddenly strong emotions, whether or not that's shocking or you smile, you laugh. He makes you feel maybe a little bit upset in your stomach, even with some of his images, but they're wonderful. and the colors that he uses are very vibrant. And with some of Ruth's images, she is just sort of coloring little important details, like the gold watch, for example, and then leaving out other things. With Max's images, it seems that he colors most of the image usually, and turns it into a painting that is full of vibrant colors. That shot of the blue legs is just so vibrant and wonderful, and also playing with changing skin tones to be more surreal. Nobody has blue skin, but it just feels right, or a blue tongue, it just feels right with Max's images. A new way of seeing things. So whose style do you prefer? For me, I love them both, and I look at their work and it inspires me. And I think they have different styles, but I think they are both really amazing. So what are some images from Ruth and Max that you liked or would like to comment on? So you can see that I've talked about Love That One of the two guys in Ruth's series who are playing in the backyard, and one man is wearing the orange shorts with that comical expression on his face as he leans forward. I absolutely love this image from Max's series of the blue legs and the pointy red shoes. That one is really has stuck in my mind. So looking at a photographer from Japan, Kimbei, he was one of the most revered creators of souvenir photos in the late 1800s. And in the 1860s and 1870s, he worked as a photo colorist. He assisted some very famous photographers. From 1880 to 1914, he managed his own photography store in Yokohama named K. Kimbei. And he produced over 400 hand-colored images, and they provide us with this window into Japanese society and culture at the time. However, that window, it was a little bit out of date, and he was showing images of samurai and traditional clothing. That was something that had already gone by in the past, but he was recreating some of these traditional elements of Japanese culture. So he provided this window to the rest of the world into Japanese society, even though some of the images were from times gone by. And you often see the geisha staged, so that everybody's placed, often composed in a very painterly way, where we can see famous paintings often are very, very similar to the photos that we see. So his images were seen as, whereas a painting maybe didn't feel as real, it came from the mind of the painter. People considered these images as being very real and very close to reality. This wonderful hangover, if you like, from painting of adding color by hand, which is not done so much today. These images are just exquisite, and when you look at them, it just takes you back to a place in time, and that hand coloring is just an extra dimension that adds something which is more of a feeling, an impression, than just a color photo. Anyway, let's have a look. Absolutely love these two. Look at those wonderful tattoos. Seems that they're both shot in the studio, where he's able to control the lighting and all of the elements, including creating the effect of the wind and the rain. These, what looks like rain is actually scratches upon the glass, apparently. And the dress, which has been composed in that way, has been stuck to the backdrop to create the effect of wind. This image on the right is very, very similar to a painting in its composition. Look at this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous image here. The mystery of the silhouette of the rickshaw man there. A painted backdrop of Mount Fuji. Beautiful colors. Love this one. Just want to dive into that water, even though I probably get some hideous disease. It's very much fairy tale and reminds me of something from a Kurosawa film, the first Kurosawa film, Sunshine Through the Rain, or the Orchard. It's something very beautiful and inviting. Nice and soft here. Beautiful old tree. Little bit more colorful. Again, wonderful tattoos. Wish I had the courage to get one of those. Wouldn't have to wear clothes. Love this one with the big trees. Hope they're still there. Okay, folks, so week one, the hand coloring photos activity. To change your color images to black and white, on the printer, you can often just set to black and white, printed out black and white. Photoshop, you can change color images to black and white very easily. Or maybe the apps that you have on your phone, you can easily change things to black and white. And then when you do, you can make things interesting by adding different colors, like by giving him a pink afro and a green face, and or doing whatever it is that you want to do. You can also add some writing on the side. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 words to tell a story. So this week, for the first assessment, if you can do between 1 and 3 hand-colored images, you can use the one that I have given you in class. It would also be great if you could do a couple of your own and then put them together with a reflection of 200 to 400 words written. And maybe you're talking about how you felt about hand coloring, your reflections upon the image, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the story of the photo itself and how that came to be. So if you can just give me one PDF document and upload that to LMS, that would be terrific for week 1. As I mentioned, we will also be meeting at the Kwinana train station for your class next week. So make sure you're on time. I'll see you on the top level as you come up from the train. And then we will be going on our wonderful photographic adventure and seeing some beautiful flowers and interesting things. Okay, guys, it is really, really nice to meet you all, and look forward to seeing the great work that you do for this course and spending time with you and getting to know you and your stories. Okay, so thank you and see you next time. Bye.